All right. Namaste. Please make your way to lying down on your backs if you're not already there. And just take Supta Baddha Konasana with the soles of the feet together and the knees spread wide. Just feel your body heavy on the floor beneath you. Close your eyes if that helps. And just allow the breath to flow naturally. Observing where in the body you feel it. One hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. Just allowing that rising and falling to lull you into this really beautiful wave-like series of acceptance and letting go. So there is a teacher, Georg Feuerstein, who is a Sanskrit scholar, and he's written a lot and spoken a lot. He's no longer with us, but I listened to a lot of his recordings, and something I heard recently was he said it's one thing to see a boat and another thing to get in and row it. And he was speaking about our sadhana, our yoga. And it's one thing to know that yoga is this vehicle, this means to really coming home to our present moment, to our divinity. And it's another thing to walk the talk and to get in that boat and row that boat. So well done for being here and practicing and getting in your boat. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose. And exhale, let it go out through the mouth. And another deep breath in through your nose. And out through your mouth. And a final deep full breath in through the nose. And sigh it out through the lips. Just let the breath flow naturally through the nostrils only now. Normal rhythm. And just set a little bit of intention for your practice today. And we're going to begin lying down as we start to move. I'd like you to take your hands and just bring the knees together. And then take the knees into the chest and out to the right side. You can let the arms spread wide. So you're coming into a nice gentle twist in the spine. So the knees may or may not come down to the floor. You can place your right hand on top of the left knee maybe. Turn your gaze to the left fingertips, but it is our first stretch. So just being gentle. Allowing the spine to grow long in a supine twist. Deep breath in. And a nice long breath out. As you next inhale, bring the left knee and the right knee back to center and over to the other side. And again, the feet may come to the floor, the knees may or may not come to the floor. Left hand can gently rest on top of the right knee as you turn your gaze over to your right fingertips and just feel that elongation of the spine as we start to warm into a gentle twist. And you might want to move a little bit. It's like when you first wake up in the morning and you do this little stretch. And then inhale, right knee, left knee back to center. Gentle happy baby here. So holding onto the outer edges of the feet, drawing the thighs down either side of the torso and taking the body for a little rock. If the feet feel a little far away, just keep the knees bent. Place the hands on top of your shins and the same gentle rocking, soothing, and massaging across the back on the floor. And then bring the soles of the feet back together in that Baddha Konasana cobbler pose. Keep holding onto the feet or ankles. And again, rock the body side to side. Massaging sacrum, lower back on the floor. Waking up the spine. Even making these simple shapes start to change and shift a lot in the body, in the mind, in our way of being. And then come back to center, hug the knees in. Take the hands behind the knees and curl your nose all the way up. So you make a nice tight ball, spine round. And start to gently rock. 3 rocks. And come all the way up to sitting cross-legged. So we'll inhale, the arms up and overhead, and still breathing through the nostrils. Starting to engage an Ujjayi breath, so a slight constriction of the base of the throat. Enabling this lovely, even inhale. And equal length exhale. Coming into a twist now. Inhale, arms up, reaching. And exhale as you twist to your right. So your left hand comes to your right knee, right hand for support behind you. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, open and deepen the rib cage around. So slight upper body now coming into twist. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, twist to the left. Right hand on the left knee, left hand behind. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, fold forward. So hinging from the hips, reaching any amount. The hands might just come like tripods on the floor in front of you, or maybe the heart, chest softens down to the floor. Let the head rest. And inhale, rise up. I'm just going to turn sideways so you can see. Let the hands come just behind you. And as you inhale again, open the heart space. So you draw the shoulder blades together, collarbone super broad. Keep the chin resting on the sternum. Oh, and exhale. Cross the legs over the opposite way. And we come one more time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, twist right. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, stay for the twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, grow tall. Really lengthen through the lower back as well as the crown of your head. As you exhale, twist. Inhale, release back to center, arms up. Slight core activation as you forward fold. Stabilizing, resting where you come to. Engage that core to support you as you inhale back up. Exhale, hands behind the seat again. And inhale, draw that heart open. Sternum wants to become parallel with the ceiling. And exhale, release. Shrug the shoulders up to the ears. And exhale, let them flop down. 2 more. Inhale. And release. And 1 more. And release. Come to all fours, please. Hands stacked beneath the shoulders. Hips over the knees, but are also hip distance apart. Continuing with that spinal work with cat-cow. Please inhale, soften the belly down to the floor, sweep the heart forward and lift your gaze open and up. As you exhale, tuck the tail, round the back, spread the shoulder blades apart as you gaze to your navel. 2 more. Inhale, your cow pose. Exhale, your cat. Starting to connect the breath and the movement. And coming into this meditative state where the breath and movement, the body and mind, all working as one, round the back. Press the hands into the floor. Come back through neutral spine. Slight contraction of the lower belly, drawing belly button to the spine. Using that core activation to stabilize you as you inhale and reach the right arm and left leg back. Exhale, elbow to knee. Curl it in, gaze to your left knee. Inhale, lengthen, open arm forward, foot back. Exhale it in. Inhale one more time. Stretch it out through the toes and fingers. Exhale, curl everything in. And then place hand and knee down to the floor. Square the hips, realign the shoulders, re-engage the belly, and inhale. Left arm, right leg long. Nice and slow. Exhale, knee to elbow, gaze to the knee. Slowly use the full inhale to reach your full extension. Exhale begins and you curl it in. Last time, inhale. And exhale. Starting to feel a little bit of warmth come into the body. Release the hand and knee down to the floor. Sit back onto your tucked toes, so fire toes. Nice toes sit here at the back of your mat. We're going to come into moon salute, so Chandra Namaskar. Bring your hands to prayer at your heart center. In your next inhale, lift the arms up to the sky. As you exhale, bring the hands through your heart center and reach out in front of you for a child's pose. So if this fire toe position becomes a little strong, you can always release the feet, tops of the feet flat into the mat. So you're coming to child's pose, keeping the fire toes if that's okay. Resting here, stretching out through the triceps. And then inhale. Bring the weight of your shoulders over your wrists. So you come into an easy plank. There's a nice long line between the knees, the crown of your head. Inhale here. And then bend the elbows close to the body as you come all the way down to the floor. Release the tops of your feet. Inhale, press into the mat with the hands and lift the body any amount, baby cobra. Exhale, lower. Press into the hands again, tuck the toes, and lift your hips up and back into that child's pose. Stretching out through the arms. Next inhale, you're going to sit back on the heels. Sweep the arms up to the sky. Hands meet in prayer. You can look up and exhale the hands back to your heart center. Feeling warm? Inhale, sweep the arms up. So when we move slowly and steadily, exhale, hands to heart center, reach them forward. It can actually start to build more heat than when we just zoom through really quickly. Because inhale, easy plank. It takes more control. Inhale again. And exhale, the full length of the breath gets you down to the floor. Inhale, baby cobra. Really draw the shoulders away from the ears. And exhale, lower. Tuck the toes, press the hips back to the heels, child's pose. This time we come up into downward facing dog. So press into the toes, press into the hands and lift the hips up and back. And pedal out the heels a couple of times, getting nice and long through the backs of the legs. Doesn't matter whether or not the heels reach the floor. You're just finding space. Your practice, your body. And then both heels reaching in the direction of the floor. Inhale. And use the exhale to bring the knees back down, shoulders over the wrist again. Inhale. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, lower. Press into the hands. Hips back to heels, child's pose. Inhale as you sit back on the fire toes. Raise the arms either side of you up to the sky. And exhale them home to heart center. One more round. Inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky. Lift the heart and gaze. Exhale, hands through midline. Reach them forward, find your child. Inhale, come into easy plank. Exhale, lower. Cobra, Bhujangasana. Elbows want to reach together behind your back. Exhale, lower. Engage the upper arms, press back into child. And inhale, hover the knees, lift the hips up and back, downward dog. Once again, pedaling out the heels until we get a little warmer. Taking as much time and variation as you need to stretch out the spine, stretch out the body. Deep, full breath. And exhale, knees slowly come down, easy plank. And exhale, all the way to the floor. Baby cobra, inhale, lift that heart space, shoulders stay away from the ears. Exhale down. Tuck the toes, press back into your child's pose. Inhale brings you back to sitting on the fire toes as you circle, sweep arms up to the sky. And exhale, hands to your heart. Close your eyes. You can release the toes if it's uncomfortable. Otherwise, just staying here, it really does stretch out the soles of the feet. It's really beneficial yin pose. And then gently rise up onto your knees. Again, I'm going to turn to face you. Hands can be on the hips for support as you extend the right leg out to the side. Taking some lateral stretch through the side body here. Inhale, arms up. Gate pose, Parigasana. Exhale, right hand lightly rests on the right leg. Left arm reaches overhead. 3 long breaths. One more breath. Inhale, rise up. Place the left hand down on the outside of the left knee and sweep the right arm overhead in a side plank variation. Just turn your gaze to the sky, down to the floor, and check that the neck is not stiff and gripping here, but just lightly in line with the rest of your spine. One more breath as you reach. And then as you exhale, gently come back to kneeling and extend left leg out to the side. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, left hand. Rest lightly on that left leg as the right arm reaches overhead. Taking your 3 Ujjayi breaths here. And then inhale, rise up. Right hand comes down outside of the right knee and left arm sweeps overhead. Vashisthasana variation. Stretching out the fascia, those sheaths around the muscle fibers. Crisscross all the way up the body from your toes to your fingers. And again, you can check that the neck is nice and loose, free of tension. And then gently sweep and come back to kneeling. So once more, come into our toe sit, with the toes tucked, sit bones on the heels. And then when you can place the hands down on the floor, you're going to lift up into a toe squat or a prayer pose. Just a breath here, finding your balance. And then inhale, see if you can stand all the way up to standing, reaching up, and then exhale. Hands and heels down to the floor. So please come to the top of your mat. I'm going to take a couple of standing sequences, nice and slow. Have your feet hip distance apart. Take a little sway side to side. Gentle bounce in the knees just to feel the feet spread into the floor. Coming into chair pose here. I'd like you to sit back as if you're sitting on a chair or a stool behind you. Knees very deeply bent. Reach the fingertips towards the floor. And then inhale the arms up either side of the ears. Inhale. As you exhale, release the hands down to the floor and come into a forward fold. Knees can stay a little bit bent here, letting the head drape down to the floor. As you inhale, place the hands on the shins and halfway lift and lengthen the spine. And then exhale, plant the hands and step 1 foot at a time back into a nice high plank. Inhale. Exhale, let's lower the knees first as we did in that Chandra Namaskar. And then exhale all the way down to the floor. Bring the arms out in front of you with the elbows beneath your shoulders. So you'll make this nice right angle with your elbow. The Sphinx pose. So the arms, forearms flat on the floor, are drawing back as if you want to draw your elbows back towards your toes. And use that traction to lift and open the sternum, open the heart. A nice open Sphinx. And then exhale, release. Bring the hands beneath your shoulders and press back into child's pose, counterposing that little gentle back bend. Tuck your toes, press into the hands, hover the knees, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. 3 long breaths here. Feel the space at the crown of your head reach towards the fingers. Spread those fingers wide and really root the hands down into the floor, especially the finger knuckles. Lengthen your tailbone up to the sky. At the same time, trying to draw the heels down to the floor. Good. Next inhale, raise your right leg to the sky behind you. And then curl the knee and step that right foot through between the hands. And come up into a nice high lunge. So you stay on the ball of the left toes. Hands can be on the hips. And bring that right knee right over the right heel. So you can just stay here for balance. Or inhale, arms up. Reach up. And again, little back bend with the upper body here. High lunge. One more breath. Exhale, sweep the hands down to the floor. Step back into a full plank. Inhale. You can come down as a full plank or once again, lower the knees first and then lower hips, heart and chin together. Sphinx pose again. Forearms on the floor with the elbows beneath the shoulders. Draw the forearms back as you reach the heart forward and just lift your gaze in the same curve as the rest of your upper back. And gently lower. Hands beneath the shoulders, press back into child's pose. You might like to tuck your toes straight away here to keep working with that fire toe tuck today. And then lift and hover hips up and back. 3 breaths in downward facing dog. And then left leg up to the sky. Curl the knee. Shift the weight of the shoulders over the wrists so you've got the room to step that left foot through between the hands. Stay on the ball of the right toes, hands to hips. Find your balance. If you get a little wobbly, widen the stance and heel toe that left foot a little bit further out to the edge of your mat so that you're not on a tight rope. And when you have your balance, you might like to inhale, reach the arms up, lift the heart, soften the shoulders down the back even here. Bend deeper into the front knee. Extend right heel back. Lovely breath in and out. Release. Let's step back into a downward facing dog one more time just to stretch it out. And then fairy step your way to the top of the mat. Halfway lift and lengthen. And exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Find your chair pose, so sit back. Fingers reach down to the floor and then sweep up to upper arms, framing the ears. Inhale. And exhale, come to stand. Sweep the hands to prayer at heart center. Close your eyes. Release your hands by your side. And just check in. Notice the body. Notice any strong sensations in any particular part of the body. Notice your breath. Notice whether the inhale or the exhale are longer. But keep breathing through your nose. And gently blink open your eyes. Taking a balanced pose here. So tree, hands to hips. And once again, take the feet to hip distance apart before you begin so that you feel you're in a nice steady position and you can shift the weight a little bit side to side, bouncing the knees till you feel the feet spread. Find a gaze point or drishti in front of you. If you want to stabilize, aim your eyes slightly down from eye level. It will help to ground you a little bit. Belly button to spine will help bring that stabilization to your core, to your center. And then we hug the right knee in. And then bring the right foot to the inner left thigh. So if this feels a little strong or a little bit hard to get the foot all the way up into that height, you can place the foot on the inner calf or even put the toes down on the floor and just rest the heel on the left ankle. So foot on the inner thigh, foot on the calf, but please don't put the foot on the knee because we don't want to stress the knee joint. And the foot and the thigh pressing equally into each other. And then the palms, left and right side, press equally into each other. And then inhale, arms reach overhead. And stay 3 breaths. Just with your balance. In your home, in your time. If you fall out, it's okay. Just come back in slowly. with a smile. Next, exhale, float the arms back down. Release and hug the knee in. And bring the foot back down to the floor. Shake it out. And swap sides. Hug the left knee in. Find your variation. Hands to prayer. Inhale, reach it up. 3 breaths. Keeping that drishti steady but soft. Keeping equal pressure, foot to thigh, palm to palm. Beautiful balance. Inhale and exhale. You can find so much peace in these standing postures, these balances. And release. Give it a shake again and come back to the top of your mat, which you probably still are. This time you might like to take the feet into Tadasana with the big toes touching and the heels a little bit apart. Or you might find for your lower back and your sacrum, you prefer to keep the feet hip distance apart, because you can see as soon as I put my toes together, for some of us, that gets a little bit off balance. And if your hips aren't symmetrical, and most of ours aren't, sometimes that can cause a little bit of strain in the lower back. So sometimes having the feet hip distance apart, the outer edges of the feet hip distance apart, you can see the line of my thighs, my shin bones go straight into the center of my feet, and then anatomically a little bit more stable. So your choice. Let's inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, hands by your side, just 3 like that. Getting into the flow with the breath. Inhale, arms up. Exhale. Inhale again. Lifting the hands, lifting the heart, lifting the gaze. Exhale. Hands come back by your side. Moving into a sun A. Inhale, arms up. We're going to just do a little shoulder opener here. So hands into prayer and drop the hands behind the space of the shoulder blades. So you're flaring your armpits forward, stretching out the triceps here. Inhale, fingertips to the sky. And exhale, swan dive down to your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift and lengthen. Hands can be on the shins or fingertips on the floor. Exhale, fold. And let's step back into a downward facing dog straight away. Inhale the right leg up to the sky. And bend the knee, open the hip. And drop that right heel towards the left buttock. Right knee high. Give you a nice hip opener here. Inhale, leg back up to the sky, and then curl it through, step forward, and find warrior 2. Grounding the left heel down. Right knee over the right heel. As you cartwheel the arms, that was just an extra flourish. You can just go like that. Warrior 2. So the back heel is really pinned down. The right knee is opening over the little toe side of that right foot. And again, you might find that a little bit of a reach forward and back helps you find your center. A little bit of a bounce helps you find your center. Inhale. Stay for the exhale. Extend through the fingertips. Inhale, straighten that front leg. We're going to come into Trikonasana triangle pose. So reach a little forward. Hinge from this hip as if someone was karate chopping in that hip. Hand comes down. And if you don't have a block and the floor is not right there, place your hand onto your shin and use that for support. Try to open the rib cage out to the side, so it's as if your torso could be in that same plane as the legs, and then float the left arm up to the sky. Option to take your gaze with you. Just keep your head facing forward so that there's no strain on the neck. Take another couple of breaths here. And then sweep that top arm all the way down and come into a wide-legged forward fold, turning both the toes now in so that the outer edges are parallel. Hands beneath the shoulders, halfway lift and inhale. And as you exhale, just allow your body to fold down to the floor. Gently rise back up with the hands beneath the shoulders and bring your right hand center and sweep the left arm up to the sky, coming into a twist. And stay with your Ujjayi breath. Lots of time, no rush. Next exhale, release that hand and swap sides. So right hand comes to where the left hand is and left arm sweeps up behind you. And even here, that slight drawing of the belly button to spine, stabilizing through your core, helps that twist be a little bit more through the waist and upper spine. And release. Both hands to the floor. Bring them beneath the shoulders once more. And we're just going to have a little practice of rocking the weight onto the toes. So you're almost lifting the heels off the mat and just taking the weight of the shoulders into the hands. So we won't do any hand balances, but it's just a little feeling, a sensation of getting the weight into the hands and trusting different parts of your body to do different things. Switching it up a bit. Feeling your center of balance come over the hands, but not too far. So you don't want your shoulders to be in front of the wrists here like that. You want to keep the shoulders over the wrists. So you're just rising up on the toes and coming down on the heels. Good. And then you're going to walk the hands all the way back around, point the right toes back to the top of the mat, come onto the ball of the left toes, and come into a low lunge, bending that right knee. Left hand stays down, right arm sweeps open to the sky, coming into a Parshva Konasana, Pavrikta Parshva Konasana variation. And then exhale, right hand to the inside of the right foot, and see if you can sweep that right foot back for a high plank. Lower the knees, lower the body, the chest and the chin together. Inhale, find your cobra. Exhale, lower. Press into the hands, come back into that easy plank on the knees, and then lift up and back to down and facing dog. You might need to walk your feet in a little bit. Good. Inhale the left leg, up to the sky. Open the hip, bend the knee. Drop the left heel towards the right buttock. And release. Step the left foot all the way through between the hands and rise up into your warrior two. So this time, left knee over the left heel, right heel pinned down, right thigh bone pressing into the right hamstring. And again, parallel the arms with the earth, little bit of movement, find your center. One more breath to extend through fingertips. And then straighten that front leg. Find triangle Trikonasana. Little bit of a reach. Hinge from the hip. Find the shin or the floor. And before you extend the top arm, see if you can turn the torso and then float the arm up. Option to take the gaze with you or just keep the gaze facing forward. Enjoying the breath here. Just being in your practice. Noticing wherever there is tension and letting that be released, the breath through the posture. Next, exhale, sweep the top arm all the way down and around, coming into your wide-legged forward fold. And turn back around to face you. You don't need that other view. Parallel the outside edges of the feet once again. Hands beneath the shoulders, folding down. And you may like to walk the hands out behind you to draw the torso a little closer to the thighs. And release the hands back beneath the shoulders. Place the right hand down and sweep the left arm up to the sky for twist. And swap sides. Left hand down, right hand reaching up, wringing out all the damp, all the moisture, all the things stored in the body that we do not need. And release. Bring the hands beneath the shoulders and once more, a little bit of a play with rocking onto the toes and back 3 times. Rocking onto the toes. Bringing the weight into the hands, rocking on the toes. And release. Walk the hands over to the left foot. Turn the toes forward. Ball of the right foot as you come into a nice low lunge. Right hand stays down, left arm sweeps up to the sky. Easy twist with the back knee on or off the mat. Bring that left hand inside of the left foot. Take the weight into the hand. See if you can sweep that left foot back into your high plank. And either lower down from here or bring the knees down and then lower. Enjoy a cobra. Shoulders away from the ears, shoulder blades come together. Exhale down. Come back into your easy plank and downward facing dog. Good, so taking another nice long breath, downward facing dog. And we're going to come into some seated postures. So inhale, right leg up to the sky. Once again, bend the knee, open the hip. And then lengthen the leg, curl it through, this time coming into pigeon pose. I turned around, but I really should have stayed that way. So the knee comes wider than the hand. Left leg extends behind. Tent the fingertips either side of the mat. Inhale, open the heart. Exhale, allow the heart to soften down. Inhale, round it up. 2 more. Exhale down. Inhale up. This time you're going to exhale all the way down into pigeon. Forehead onto the stacked fists, palms or floor. Just taking one more breath. Nice juicy hip opener. And then inhale, come back up. And you're going to sweep the left leg forward. So it's going to come, now I'm now doing the opposite side from you. The right foot's coming to the inner left thigh, and the left foot is coming out at an angle here, the Janu Sirsasana. So it's a forward fold. Inhale, sit tall. As you exhale, twist the torso over to point your belly button in the direction of the left toes. Inhale, and exhale, fold any amount. So if you can reach the foot, you can grab the foot or the ankle, the shin. You might even be able to take the outside edge of that foot to facilitate a little deeper twist as you fold. Last breath. And use the inhale to release and slowly curl back up to sitting. Take the feet into cross legs. Bring the hands forward and then step or jump back into your downward facing dog. You can sway the hips, pedal out the heels, release that pigeon, release that forward fold. Inhale, left leg to the sky. Open the hip, drop the heel to the opposite buttock. Inhale, release, and take the left knee wide for your pigeon pose. Right leg extends back. Fingertips tent either side of the mat. Inhale, open the heart. Exhale, down. Inhale, round up. Exhale, down. One more. This time, come all the way down. Your variation. Breathing into that outer left hip. Gently release the hands to the floor. Come back up and sweep that right leg forward, coming into Janu Sirsasana on the second side. Left foot on the inner right thigh, similar to when you did that standing balance tree. Right toes point up to the sky. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, twist belly button in the direction of the right toes. Use the inhale to lengthen once more here, and the exhale to soften and fold any amount. So for you at home, it might be a nice hinging from the hips and keeping the heart open. And just pausing right here and just feeling the lengthening through the back of the right leg. The right knee can be a little bit bent even. So it really is getting into the hamstring rather than the tendons in the back of your knee. Or maybe you're even taking the outside edge of that foot and drawing the body a little deeper down to the floor as you twist. Last breath. And release, rise up. Cross the legs. Reach forward, step or jump back to downward facing dog. Last one. Really stretch it out, release through both hips. And then bring the knees down to the floor. Hips to the heels and take a child's pose. So rest your forehead down onto the mat. And if it doesn't reach, you can grab your block for your forehead or stack your fists again, or a cushion. So basically you don't want to have your head hovering in midair. You want everything to be resting and supported on something. Let the breath spread across your back. Feel it expand into your left and right rib cage. Soften the hips a little closer to your heels without loosening the length in the arms. Last deep breath in through your nose. And this time we'll let it sigh out through the mouth. You can feel how much lets go when you exhale through to that side. Slowly walk the hands back towards you. And then come to lying down on your backs once more. So we'll finish up how we began. So take the soles of the feet together, knees wide, and rock side to side, massaging the sacrum and lower back on the floor. And then coming into center, finding your happy baby, holding onto the outer edges of the feet or the shins. And once again, gently rock your body side to side. And then bring the knees together, give them one more squeeze. And you have two options here. You can just take a little constructive rest. So feet are as wide apart as the mat. And then bring the knees together. So it looks like this. Trying to find an angle where you can see. And let the body soften into the floor. Give yourself a little hug. And just rest here a minute. Or you may like to gently support yourself up to sitting and take a minute or two of meditation. So either way, we have 2 minutes before Shavasana. If you're coming into meditation, just find a comfortable seat. And I find it helps to take just a couple of rounds of Nadi Shodhanam. And I invite you to take these rounds as a visualization today. So normally we take the hands to the nose and we inhale through the left nostril, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, exhale through the left. And even if you're lying in constructive rest, you can do this practice too. Close your eyes. And just imagine that you are inhaling only through your left nostril. Pausing at the top of the inhale. And then visualize exhaling through the right nostril. Pausing at the end of the exhale. Inhale through the right. Pause. Exhale left. And you may continue if you enjoy that. Otherwise, just let the breath come to a normal rhythm. Keeping awareness on that flow of breath. And sit. Allow the benefits of this practice to marinate your entire soul and being. Another 30 seconds, half a minute. Your arms are crossed over your body. You might like to change the cross of the arms. If the mind wanders, simply observe, realize, and come back to your breath. You are welcome to stay in meditation or make yourself very comfortable in Shavasana. So lying flat on your back, legs spread wide, arms resting by your sides, palms face up. Just allow the weight of the body to soften and melt down into the floor. Covering yourself with a blanket. Full surrender to this moment. As always, if you're at home, please stay as long as you like. If you're ready to make your way back into the day, just gently deepen your breath. Just wriggle your fingers and your toes. Take a stretch. Arms overhead, out through the toes. Bend the knees in, give yourself a final lovely hug. And roll out to one side. And take your time to come back up to sitting. Perhaps you're still sitting in meditation. Once you arrive, please bring your hands to prayer at heart center. Just recalling the intention you set for your practice at the beginning of class. And bring your hands to prayer at your forehead. Raise your hands above you. And bow down. It's one thing to see a boat and another to get in and row it. Namaste.